We're going to have a spooky theme tune this week. A scary AI Addams Family style theme tune, I think.
I like to imagine it as just sort of going to be like the Monster Mash, but it's going to say the award-winning podcast.
The award-winning podcast. I saw a peculiar sight. It was the award-winning movie podcast.
They did the pod. The award-winning pod. They did the pod. That's what the theme tune should be. Can you sing to
I can
it
try
and
it.
get you to make it better?
If I just put those lyrics, maybe it'll figure out what I'm doing and just assume
we're clearly trying to do a Monster Mash riff.
So I did exactly that. This is Future Brad talking now. And it didn't make the Monster Mash, but it made something even better. So, this week's theme tune.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. From my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, he did the award-winning movie podcast. The award-winning movie podcast. The award-winning movie podcast. He did the podcast. It caught on in a flash. He did the award-winning movie podcast.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning movie podcast. This is a bonus episode this week where we are speaking all things Halloween. We are doing the best ever horror movie survivor this week. It's often a trope called Final Girl because it's often a woman that survives the monster, but we'll mention some boys too. How good is this theme tune, by the way? Is it just me that loves it? It is literally just the lyrics to Monster Mash that I put in. Except also, they're doing the award-winning movie podcast. I think it's because if you were walking through the woods late one night and you saw someone doing this podcast, it would be an eerie sight. Anyway, the song is over. It's time for the podcast. Enjoy! Okay, so we're doing Final Girl, or Best Horror Movie Survivor, and I think there's a very good chance that we've all chosen the same one this week.
I think
there's a good chance.
There's a really good chance.
I sincerely doubt it.
Yeah.
Okay, Craig's the outsider, but me and Tom are going to call
Craig's
the
gone
ballot.
for a rogue choice.
So I'm just going to say off the bat right now, I think it's Ripley.
And it is.
Ripley's an honourable mention for me, but she's not the main choice.
I knew we would. I thought it'd be all three of us, but so only Tom's.
I did think it'd be all three of us as well. I think actually, and I'm sort of maybe going to try and guess at Craig's reason why it's not here.
Because he's sexist and he hates women.
No, I was going to say that.
Oh, trust you guys, sexist. You went with one of the more male ones.
What? So she's a woman?
Right, okay. I feel like Craig chose the least woke way of saying that possible, but that was what I was going to say in terms of Craig not picking this, is that I thought what he was going to say is the reason Ripley can't win is that she fits a little bit outside of that typical sort of Final Girl archetype, in that I suppose part of the Final Girl thing can sometimes be that you expect them to be amongst the least capable and they end up being the most capable. Yeah. Whereas actually with Ripley, she's kind of just the most capable the whole time. And you're like, well, I mean,
that's why I like it, because she doesn't do the usual tropes of being weak and stupid. She's the smartest one in the gang, basically.
So I think normally they are all smart, but they potentially get a bit more luck on their side. Whereas if anything, Ripley never gets lucky, and in fact gets terribly unlucky lots of the time and still comes out on top because she's the smartest.
Yeah. And the most formidable one of the gang.
The thing is as well with Ripley, which I like, is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but was she one of the first women in a horror film to not be judged by the film based on her sort of sexual morals, like whether she, has sex with a boy and that it sort of gets condemned by the film or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not in it. Yeah, it's not part of her character dynamic with the rest of the crew or generally.
It's not overall that kind of movie though. It's not a teen horror like Scream is. And Scream mentions that trope you're talking about, where if you have sex, you're going to die. If you drink or do drugs, you're going to get killed.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back!
You could argue Alien is sort of a combination of sort of the slasher movie where there's someone or something trying to get you and the the monster movie, and both of those things sort of had the.
Yeah, but I'd say it's a bit separate because they're not teenagers. It's a bit different. It's not about their relationships with each other. I don't think there's any romantic.
No, they're not teenagers. I'll give you. Was what's her name in Halloween? Was she a teenager?
Jamie Curtis character.
Jamie Curtis. Was she a teenager in Halloween? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've not seen Halloween. It's the only one of the classics I've
Oh,
not
we
managed to
well
watch this
researched.
week. I've binged about 5 Halloween
Yeah.
movies, but not Halloween. I watched Scream, I watched Hellraiser, Friday the 13th, Alien, I
Yeah.
watched again. But
Brad's rewatched it more recently, but
Mm.
from memory, none of it was due to getting lucky.
no, she's the one that tells them at the very start, like John Hurt is in the airlock, unconscious with the.
Yeah, she wants to enforce the quarantine.
Yeah, she's like, just don't let him in. Like, can't let you in. She's by far the smartest one who deserves to live, and therefore, by the rule of horror movies, she gets to live. But wasn't it? Am I right in saying she was originally written as a man, and then they just decided to cast her a woman in the role?
Is that true? I feel like that would be insane.
I'm pretty sure I'm right that it was just originally written to be a guy, and they just thought it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Make it a woman, and that's why she isn't written in the way a female role normally might be back then, especially of being a bit weaker. That she has more agency and has more say in what happens to the plot because she's written as being a male character.
You could argue, though, there's a kind of inherent sexism to that, though, like, at least for the time, which is the more masculine woman does better than the average woman in film. I think that was a point made in a famous book about horror and gender, Men, Women, and Chainsaws.
Well, but by that logic, you're saying that it's only fair. It's not sexist if she was doing a makeup at some point and survived as a result of that. Like,
No, I guess I'm not against it. I'm just saying her being more manly isn't necessarily a pro.
I don't think she's particularly manly. I just think she's
I get
genderless
Yeah.
almost. Like, this she doesn't do anything particularly masculine or anything particularly feminine. She's just is. She just
See,
exists.
I'm again going for something different to that. I think that she is specifically feminine. I think that it doesn't make you masculine just to have like certain of her survival like traits and being a good leader and stuff. I think that, I don't know. I feel like that says more about the viewer than her, really.
I think that's why I like the casting of it, that they read it and just said it doesn't matter if it's male or female. Just sort of
Yeah,
like,
like if they'd rewritten it and been like, well, like she needs to do more girl stuff, and it's like, well, who's to say that all the things in there aren't girl stuff already?
yeah,
You know,
girl can hold a
or
flamethrower.
woman stuff.
Why not?
I mean,
Yeah.
there is she does bring out a maternal side in the second film. There's that where
Yeah, she does,
You know,
yeah.
she has it's kind of a surrogate daughter to look after.
Yeah.
You could die in 24 hours. Open the hatch.
Listen to me. If we break quarantine, we could all die.
Look, would you open the goddamn hatch? We have to get him inside.
No.
I can't do that, and if you were in my position, you'd do the same.
Ripley, this is an order. Open
What else have we got? What other contenders do you have?
Yeah, okay. I went from Ash from the Evil Dead series. He sort of goes through what the standard final girl might go through. She has a partner who gets killed and has to be sort of traumatized and run and like suffer some injuries and sort of just have a hard time with it in the first film. But I like that as the films go on, he sort of changes and starts, inserting bits of action and bit of comedy and,
Ash was on my list for much of the same reasons, but also he's been in more stuff. His character got to live longer, you know what I mean? Like that feels like a
Well, the thing is with Ash, though, in Evil Dead, right, is that I don't know if you've heard that casting story about how they wanted to put Will Smith in The Matrix. He was the first choice before Keanu Reeves. And he said one reason he couldn't do it is because he could never let all the other stuff in The Matrix upstage him. He always has to be sort of center of the movie. And what I like
Yeah.
about Bruce Campbell's character in Evil Dead is that he's very much secondary to everything that's going on in the first film. He's like kind of a non-character, but then his character kind of evolves to be front and center of the whole thing by the end.
I think that's interesting because that's almost, obviously he did end up in a TV show as well. That is almost like a very TV thing to happen, is that like, they write in a character in early episodes of the pilot or something that they're not expecting to be a big character, and then they end up having to expand on them and because basically either the actor's so good or people like the character so much, or and they have to blow them up there. So it's sort of like you've got Bruce Campbell as Ash, and it's like, well, we've got to make use of it, like, because Bruce Campbell's great.
One thing that I'd say that
Yeah, exactly.
Ash has over Ripley and Alien is that Evil Dead more of a classic horror movie. So if you're going to choose a best horror role, that's a lot more of your typical kind of horror thing than Alien is.
If I had to pick between the two films, I'd pick Alien, like Because
Yeah, Alien's a better movie for me, but
Yeah.
one's more of a horror movie. One's more in that kind of section of
You could say
horror.
one's a
It's-
sci-fi, couldn't you? Like,
Yeah,
you could be
yeah.
like, oh, it's a sci-fi. So it's a slightly different category. And I think that's why that was my only hesitation over Ripley, is that maybe it's not a fully traditional horror movie. And it's not like she's like an archetypal scream queen or anything.
It's less of a genre movie, kind of, isn't it? It's a bit less,
Yes.
yeah,
But
in that bracket.
in terms of more genre movies, I did have a genre movie pick. So I've also got Susie in the original Suspiria.
Ah, Tom loves Suspiria.
I do love Suspiria, but it's not from the new one. It's from the old one. Yeah, in the original Suspiria, I think, again, because I think she has the hallmarks of this category, which is like she survives because of her sort of ingenuity and curiosity and sort of like problem-solving ability in order to survive. I think she does get a bit more luck throughout, I think, in terms of like not being one of the other girls at the ballet school or whatever. Some of them are similarly maybe onto something, but she does end up putting it all together and asking the right questions and noticing the right things. And that allows her to survive. Because I think there's always this big imbalance between a horror movie protagonist and the threat. Because the threat normally either has some kind of supernatural power or they're just stronger than you at all times.
Yeah, they've got psycho energy.
Yeah, because you've always got to rely on something else other than brute forcing. Like, I think it's why you don't necessarily get like it's different than an action movie protagonist who, although they can sometimes be outsmarting people, sometimes they can just rely on being stronger, and sort of brute force their way through. Whereas like there isn't an element there, it's like Susie isn't going to be stronger than the head witch. Like, that's just not. Yeah, she doesn't have those kind of powers or anything, and isn't like an ancient evil. But she still gets her, and especially like in the final bit, it's because I think it's like the reveal of a shadow of the witch that allows her to see her despite her being invisible, and that's what allows her to get her in the end. So I think she's really good, and it's a great fucking movie. So
It is a thing in horror movies, isn't it, where the survivor is always someone who is the best, either the smartest or morally upstanding, like we said before with the Scream thing, of you get punished for immoral behaviour. I don't know why that exists in horror movies, but it does seem to be a thing.
yeah, I mean that is sort of like baked into the horror genre sometimes, not all the time, to have this kind of like really like almost like, I don't know, like biblical moralism to it.
That is very prevalent in one of my only other nomination. She's called Danny Arder from Midsommar.
Oh yeah, she wasn't on my list, but now that you said it immediately, I'm like, probably should have been.
How do you guys say the name of that movie? I'm always curious. I always want to say,
I assume it's just Midsummer because obviously it's just a Scandinavian sort of
yeah,
like,
I'm like, do you say it the way it's spelled? Do I put a little Scandinavian twang on it, or do I just say Midsummer? Do I go
I think you just say Midsummer.
Midsommar. Yeah. Good movie. Very creepy.
So what
movie.
did she? I haven't seen the film. What did she actually go through throughout the film, so I can try and judge it?
Well, there's a bunch of. It's a classic kind of bunch of teenagers going off on a gap year, I think, or like a spring break kind of trip.
No, it's actually because they're a bit older than that. It is part of somebody's PhD thesis, and they're going to study the something like the
right.
rituals of Midsummer in that culture.
Yeah, so it's mostly Americans going to a Scandinavian, not a village, like a commune. They discover all these weird rituals and basically a cult, and then they get killed one by one, based on their moral failings. That's why I mentioned that.
Oh God, you don't need it, do you?
You don't need it, no. It's all too much faff. But at the end, she gets nominated as like the Queen of the Harvest or something. And then at the end, she's kind of screaming and having a panic attack, but also she's kind of smiling and she's happy. She kind of gets a choice of if her boyfriend lives or dies, I think, and she chooses for him to die.
Because he's a piece of shit.
I could be slightly misremembering that. But at the end, she's kind of like happy that she got through all this and she did it. She's kind of like, yeah, fuck you, I survived. Which I like. That's fun. But it's also really creepy and weird. I'd have to rewatch. I bet there's a million things in that I missed, and the people who are fans of that movie saying I'm completely wrong about everything there. But I'm close to being right.
It is traditional that our fair queen shall choose between a pre-selected new blood and a specially ordained organ. Well, these are the candidates for the 9th and final offering. We patiently wait your verdict.
Should we talk about some of the more like classic horrors you like rifle, like your Friday the 13th, your Screams? You guys have any favourites there?
I really rate Freddy Krueger. He survived a lot of films.
Yeah, you can't pick the monster.
He also got into a fight with Jason from Friday the 13th, and he still survived that. to my knowledge, so he's a pretty good survivor.
Yeah, you can't pick the monster there.
Definitely a contender.
Well, let's be fair. I suppose the monster does die in a lot of horrors. At the end, the monster gets killed.
Yeah, credit where it's due. If you've been stabbed and set on fire and kicked off things and, had several people defeat you in various ways and you're still alive. I don't agree with your politics, man, but credit where it's due.
I watched Friday the 13th, the original, for the first time this week. Have you guys seen that?
I have not seen it now.
Right, it's fucking shit. It's not scary at all. But it's just people dying left, right, and centre with no drama. They don't find out there's a killer, I don't think, until the last 20 minutes. They're just dying completely obliviously. So there's no fear involved. It's just like a guy walking down the road and gets stabbed. Like, to me, it's the least scary film I've ever seen in my life. I've seen The Hangover's scarier to me than that. Like,
what jump scared you in The Hangover?
Nothing. I just threw out a movie. It's the first one I could think of. But it's just not scary. And then Scream is not scary, but that's more meant to be a comedy. That's a fun movie, at least. So Scream was good. Enjoyed Scream. Hellraiser, fucking awful. I don't know if you guys have seen Hellraiser.
A long time ago.
It's the exact plot of Beetlejuice, except without the comedy. And there are a few films I hate more than Beetlejuice. But yeah, Hellraiser, just very, very boring. And I thought it'd be fun. It's called Hellraiser. It sounds fun.
It's the one with the guy with the white head with needles in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was all going to be like set in some demon world, but it's just some guy raised some demons and he's trying to escape back to Earth. And then he's having an affair with this woman who's there. And then the demons come and everyone dies. It's terrible.
Wait, the guy in that's just called, his character name is Pinhead.
Yeah.
Like that episode of SpongeBob. Who you calling Pinhead? You know what, actually, I think one that we've got that's missing here is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, not seen
which
it.
I feel like is really typical of that. You've not seen it?
No, there's so many. I'm not a big horror guy. That's why I've been binging them all this week, just getting through them.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, maybe watching them all back to back maybe makes them worse. And I think not seeing them in the cinema makes it worse. I think there is something about being in a dark room where you have to pay attention.
I think watching them as a teenager with other potentially horny teenagers makes it more fun. But I'm not going to do that. So,
well, yeah, I mean, the ship might have sailed on that one.
It's all the archetypical final girl in that one, isn't it?
Yes, that's why I brought it up. It's like very, very archetypical in that one. And also the most sort of like in the sort of slasher genre, isn't it, rather than just a horror. And that has all the things, but like Craig was saying about the sort of the moral judgment and all that all stuff and everything as well. But she gets away.
Is it scary, Texas Chainsaw Massacre? That's one of what I've seen of it. It looks like it's actually scary, unlike some of the other ones.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it just because I think it's because it's got such a like a gritty sort of aesthetic to it.
Well, it's based on
makes it more
new
scary.
TV show just out on Netflix. That Ed Gein, isn't it? He was the inspiration for Leatherface, wasn't he?
Yeah, so it has that. So I think it has that sort of real life thing, and then obviously 70s it taps into that like sort of. That's like the emergence of this idea of the serial killer and stuff, and then like people being, like that sort of thing taking over that sort of like sort of public consciousness there. But I think, just the way it looks, like the way it's shot and everything is really sort of like rough and dirty, but it kind of looks amazing despite that, I think. And that sort of adds a level of like realism to it. Whereas I think I think you got different directions of horror, and some of them like how like a heightened, they look like movies, Whereas like, you feel like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is obviously not a found footage movie, but it's like not that far removed from that aesthetic. Like you feel like maybe that could have inspired someone.
Yeah.
Sort of deliberately rough around the edges.
Yeah, like really going for that sort of like realism like vibe.
I think one of the reasons I've never watched it because, as Brad said, it just genuinely looks scary. And there's something about like films inspired by real life murderers and slashers and stuff. Like I know people who go to bed listening to true crime podcasts and spend a lot of their time reading true crime novels. I'm like, what? I don't get it. Why do you want to do that to yourself, knowing like reminding yourself of real life murders? I think something about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is really like triggering for me in that regard. Sort of like, oh god, there's like creepy people out there who actually do this sort of crazy.
What do you find the scariest in a movie? Like, what's your idea of the creepiest thing in a movie? Mine would be that kind of creepy vibe and atmosphere. The slasher thing doesn't scare me at all. Just having a daunting atmosphere. That's what gets to me, really, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mixture of both. And I think that's where something like Chainsaw Massacre works, is that like it has the slasher thing for a lot of it. It's not like it's all slashing all the entirety of the runtime. A lot of it is like there is a real fear of sort of what the Leatherface, like what Leatherface, where he might be and what he might do, and that sort of being around the corner. But yeah, I think generally for me, I do tend to find that more sort of like disassociative, sort of like creepy vibe, a bit scarier than just straight up killings. But I feel like that's part of it, isn't it? Like a big part of the horror thing is like people watch stuff and they'll be like, they're there for the kills. Like they're not necessarily there in the, like the scary sense, but they're like, yeah, if it's got that movie's got good kills in it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a bit of a weird one.
I think I find it less scary when there's a logic to it. Like, oh, this murderer, I don't know, got set on fire and his parents were abused or something, and they sort of come up with this logical reason why he's a bit messed up in the head. And I find that less scary than just something that attacks you for no reason.
If you were to design a movie with the ultimate horror movie survivor, what do you reckon they should do? What's the perfect horror movie archetypal survivor? Because we're talking about these moral failings, so do they have to be a good person? Should they be the smartest? Should they be the most formidable? Or should they be the least formidable, the weakest? Like, what do you think works best?
I think the horror sometimes comes from how vulnerable they are. If you know the main character is somewhat capable of fighting or defending themselves, it sort of takes the scariness out of it to a certain extent. But if you know this person is genuinely, if the evil whatever gets to them, they are screwed, I find that really amps up sort of you're worrying about them. So I think a good amount of vulnerability is definitely key for me.
But then I'd counter that and say if they're too vulnerable and weak and stupid, then you just get annoyed and go, why are you going up there? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? And then they're a shit protagonist.
Oh, they're allowed to be smart and, like, you know, think on their feet, but I mean, not, I guess, less physically capable.
Yeah, which is usually always the case. Of the killer will always have psycho energy, or there'll be an alien, or there'll be a monster that can kill you. It's very rare for the protagonist to be a threat to the villain in any way.
Yeah, they do have to have an imbalance, and I guess that's why I was saying Alien. Like Ripley's probably too competent for some horror villains, but obviously the aliens thing is it's like, oh, it's unkillable.
Yeah, that's why I think it works, because the alien's so overpowered that she is able to be very sensible and smart and do everything correct. It's just she's in such a difficult situation that it doesn't matter really.
She does have a bit of a fisticuffs in the second one. She hops in that sort of half mech construction equipment and physically wrestles the alien queen, doesn't she?
Did someone ever watch Aliens?
I didn't. Sorry. I don't know what that is.
It's an action movie, so it's
it is an action movie. So the rules are different, aren't they?
No, there's still horror elements in it. There's definitely it
Predator
turns into a horror.
Can Dutch be the best
that's
survivor?
a good example. It sort of turns into a horror action rather than just straight up horror. Though, if we're just basing ours off the first movie, I wouldn't even vote for mine, Evil Dead, because then he's just kind of a nothing character. He really comes into his own in second and third films. In the second Evil Dead, he becomes more of a comedic kind of character, like a wisecracking one, you know, groovy and all that. And this is my boomstick and all those sort of lines.
See this? This is my boomstick. It's a 12-gauge double-barreled Remington. S-Mart's top of the line. Shop smart. Shop S-Mart. You got that?
And that's something I really like. They took advantage of an actor's charisma and turned it into quite an enjoyable character to watch in a horror franchise.
And it does shape the tone of that franchise massively to rely on that.
Oh, hugely.
Yeah. But that is also a very Raimi thing, isn't it, to have the sort of comedy of stuff as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And that sort of births its own genre, isn't it? Like the horror comedy sort of thing. You think about basically every movie that Peter Jackson made before Lord of the Rings, he was basically just doing like Raimi style horror comedies.
Not into that as a genre, I've discovered this week. Not into the jokey horrors. I don't get the point in them, really. Some of them are. I enjoyed Scream because it's so silly and self-referential. I could watch it. Like, not exactly my cup of tea, but I can at least appreciate it and go, this is at least entertaining. Like Friday the 13th, I think, was basically the same kind of tone, except it was acting like it was a horror movie. Like it's trying to be straight up, but none of it is dramatic enough to get you. Whereas Scream is just so tongue-in-cheek and knows what it is that it can have more fun with itself.
It's a totally different genre of thing, in it. And I guess you're less likely to pick The Survivor from those ones because they're so tonally different. And I feel like you feel like less under threat for them. I feel like actually part of the thing that's going to count in favor of like Sally and Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that I think that Ripley is very set up to be very capable. You know, in that she's like an experienced professional and, you know, she's not got a job on the ship for no reason. And I think although they're not expecting the level of bad situation they end up with the xenomorph, there's still a level where it's sort of like her preparation for that is a bit better. Characters like Sally and other sort of ones in that horror slasher genre, them surviving is in a way almost more impressive because they're sort of set up to that, or they're like experienced base for it. Isn't necessarily like, you know what I mean? Like they've not got a leg up there. And even if they make mistakes, because I think there's a bit where like you were saying sometimes they do stupid stuff and they're like, oh, well, why would you do that? Sometimes it's like, oh, they're just like a person who's been dropped into this horrible situation and they have to make their way out of it.
Can I just say, I think the main part of the first Alien where Ripley is truly like the most impressive out of the rest of the film is the very end when she gets in the sort of, what is it, like kind of a big escape pod kind of vehicle, and it turns out the alien's inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is the most scared I am for her throughout the whole film, because sort of alluding to what Tom said, it's the most unprepared she's been throughout the whole film for that alien situation.
I like that scene, but I also find it a bit weird that like the alien's hunting her this whole time and then it's just having a little nap. And it's just perfectly still and calm when it's in there.
You got the rest.
Yeah.
There is an element of luck in there, and
yeah.
The alien just happened to be napping at the point where it's right in front of you. It could kill you now.
Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo. Third officer reporting. The other members of the crew and Captain Dallas are dead. This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo.
So it's either Sally from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Ash from Evil Dead, or Ripley from Alien. I mean, we said it was a gimme at the start that it's going to be Ripley, because me and Tom both choose her. I still, by miles, think it's Ripley because of all the reasons Craig said against her. That's why I like her, because she doesn't do the weak tropes, the annoying things. She's a very sensible, smart character in a shit situation, and that for me is a more enjoyable movie to watch because of that.
No, it is good that she's cautious, rational, capable, you know, not sexualized. You know, she does have a lot of good things going for her.
Yeah, I think she's definitely the best character on the list, but her survival is maybe less impressive than some of the others. I don't know, what do we reckon that comes down to then? Because I think that like Sally's survival is more impressive because, like I say, she's not exactly set up to succeed. Ripley is clearly a better character, I think.
Well, that's all I'm basing it off. All I'm looking at is which character is either is the best character or is used the best and functions the best in the film. I've not seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so I can't comment on Sally, but maybe I'll watch that this Halloween. Maybe I'll watch it and get spooked and report back.
With the lights off.
I could probably toss Ripley in a lot of situations in movies and sort of assume she would be fine for the most part. Like, she's a very capable character, but Sally, if she's the archetypal final girl, I'd say it's impressive if she's less a qualified space marine who's clearly knowledgeable on how to deal with several tough situations, just sort of a normal...
Are you going to vote for Sally having not seen the film?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She could be terrible. You don't know.
Well, look, put it this way. If I got put in a mansion with Leatherface, I'd probably be fucked.
Yeah.
I'd also be fucked with an alien on a spaceship, but I'm not Ripley.
Yeah, no, actually, I think this is what sort of made me consider that angle, is that I wouldn't survive the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm working from the same experience level as Sally. Whereas, like, I wouldn't survive Alien.
Exactly.
But it's like, but Ripley's better prepared than me. So, like, that's, you know.
So, we started the podcast with... So, Ripley's won, right? Tom, I've gone for Ripley. Oh, right, it's going to be Ripley. Yeah. And you two have both now gone with someone who wasn't a nomination at the start.
Yeah, but it's because I talked myself into it.
Why does this happen every week? I have the win. I had it.
And yet, it's all come crashing down. And I think maybe you would have voted with us had you seen the movie. I mean, Craig, he'd voted for it and he's not seen it. Which
he does that all the time.
But to be fair, I did read a little bit about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre before the pod. I did read a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Why? Why don't you watch it? Don't read, you nerd.
It's a visual goddamn medium.
It's a visual medium. All right, I'm gonna give Tom the final vote. He's the only one that's seen both. Follow your heart, Tom.
Tom, you can also consider Ash, by the way. Ash is great. I just know Brad would never vote for Ash.
We could consider Ash, but
due to association with me.
I am. I'm going Sally.
Right,
Sally.
Then the winner of the best, what we're calling it, best horror survivor, best horror movie survivor. Yeah. It is more of a horror movie. I'll give you that. It's more of a classic.
It is much more of a horror movie. I think that's all what's tipping me that way.
Yeah, that is fair. So the best archetypal horror movie survivor is Sally from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
you did good, Sally. You did good.
I was going to say, do you know we've got our growing list of, we mentioned Rocky every week, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. Alien is making a lot of appearances on the pod.
Yeah.
It's becoming one of them.
This is the thing, actually, and we got to give some, because normally my hot take is that I come in and shit on somebody, but my take this time is that Ridley Scott, really good, and in fact, in a lot of senses, almost underrated, because he has made some underwhelming movies as well, but I feel like he maybe, because of that, doesn't get enough credit for making just like an insane amount of outright classics.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Like, we've just discussed 2 of them in the last like 3 minutes.
And all sorts of genres and stuff.
Yeah, also, he's spanning all of them. And I think obviously part of that is just his dedication to working on anything.
What was his last like really great one?
Really great.
Oh, The Martian. I know it's not very recent, but I love The Martian. That's great.
Well, it's just last 10 years, isn't it? So it's pretty.
10 years old now. Has he not made a really good one since?
So it's not an outright classic, and I wouldn't claim that it would be, but The Last Duel is very good.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Yeah, it's an interesting.
Yeah, The Last Duel is really, really good. That sort of does like a Rashomon thing.
There's nothing wrong with like still making like good to decent films. Don't always have to be a classic, is there?
Yeah, I think it's sort of like Napoleon is like a bit weak. There's stuff about it that I like, but largely it's like, I don't know if you guys saw it. It's a bit boring.
That was an Apple movie, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
I think Apple movies, they always have a vibe. There's something similar about them.
Yeah.
They always have a slight miniseries vibe to them.
Yeah, it's really strange.
They feel a bit TV. I don't know why, just there's something.
There is one really great scene in Napoleon, though, where he's like going through and he's like trying to stage his coup early on. And they interrupt that guy. And for some inexplicable reason, they just like include a reference to that viral video with the Australian guy. He goes, "A succulent Chinese meal." And then there's there's like a weird riff on that. And he goes,
No, I am eating my breakfast. I am enjoying a succulent breakfast. This is outrageous!
This is the bloke who got me on the penis before.
Get some cups.
Why did you do this to me?
Hop in the car. Get some cups.
For what reason? What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
And you're like, well, that's amazing, but why the fuck is it in this movie?
Ridley just loves that.
Yeah, Ridley just loves that. Like, how has he come across this? Like, I actually kind of love that Ridley Scott has been watching like ship hosts.
I love Ridley. He seems like a very chill, cool guy.
Do you think he's one of those directors who's just always as good as his script?
So, yeah, right. Yeah, kind of. I think I'm going to say something slightly different to that, though, is that is a sports analogy for you. In sports, especially team sports, they have some players who are ceiling raisers and some players who are floor raisers. Floor raisers aren't necessarily the best players in the world, but generally, them being in your team makes your team a little bit better overall. Whereas your ceiling raisers tend to be some of the best players in the world, but they don't raise the minimum floor of the being in the worst team. So if you put them in a shit team, they might not make too much of a difference. But if you put them in the best team, they're going to absolutely shit on people.
I'd say that's a fair analogy for Ridley.
And Ridley Scott is more of a ceiling raiser in that, like, if you're giving him a good script, I feel like he could make an amazing movie. It's not just sort of like, oh, the script's carrying him. Like, he's like, all right, I'm knocking it out of the fucking park.
I wasn't saying the script carries him. I'm saying he can extract the best out of a really good script, but he can't extract really good stuff out of a shit script.
But who can?
I think who can, yeah, that was kind of my point, is that I feel like I think that you could have given Blade Runner to some other good directors and they don't make a movie as good as Blade Runner, or similarly with Alien. But a lot of, you know what I mean, but some of his more middling ones, I feel like might still be middling. given to someone else.
I don't know. I think there are some films where they've had the script sort of been average, but the way it's made sort of elevates it. Like maybe Jaws. Like I think Jaws could have been a lot worse with the same script.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's one of them. I just felt like maybe in terms of the top end, you were being unfair to Ridley, because I feel like it's not just because it's like, oh, the writer did all the work and then he was just there. You know what I mean? Like he's...
No. I wasn't saying that at all. Like I'm saying, he's talented enough to maximize a really good script. If that makes sense. Whereas you give me the script for Gladiator, I'd probably do a shit job with it, even though well, there wasn't a script for Gladiator, but you get my point.
I think maybe the only difference between Ridley, and I think Spielberg is really the only counterpoint to this, is that Ridley has made a lot of movies. Like he is just working all the time. Like whereas I think some directors maybe maintain their mystique of always getting it right by just making less movies.
Yeah, like Tarantino, 9 movies.
Yeah, like making one every 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Ridley Scott's made a movie basically every year for 40 fucking years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there can't be that.
He's more talented than Tarantino, I think.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
I would say they're a different skill set.
They are very different skill set, but I think the main reason I would say it is that Tarantino is much better of like a referential thing, and that's sort of become his style. Whereas Ridley Scott is the originator of not just one, but like multiple Ridley Scott styles that are like a foundation of like a number of different genres of movie. Yeah,
he's a good boy.
You know what, Ridley, man.
Which we could do next week. We could do like a director-based thing next week, and just talk about Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott.
Who would win in a fight, Ridley or Tarantino?
I think Ridley would win. I think Ridley's an old man, but I think like Tarantino's got wuss energy about him. You know what I mean? Talks a big game, but he cannot back it up.
Tarantino would be like a biter or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Low blows, man.
Dirty.
Whereas I think Ridley'd he's delivering haymakers.